That's a great question because, I say to a lot of people, the elbows up and buy Canadian, we actually have to turn rhetoric into action. Because probably the most common thing I heard in my 10 years in public life, and I'd been a lawyer on Bay Street, military guy, so I'd actually done a little bit more than most. Most common refrain I would see with the scale-up crowd was, we have more interest overseas in Japan than we do in our own country. And this is something we have to change because we have this moment now of economic and civic nationalism. I love it as a patriot, but we have this moment and we have to turn that intention into action. And I think energy is the greatest example. I talked about Adam Beck a minute ago. 120 years ago, they decided to make power at cost the public benefit of power. And to this day, that was Ontario Hydro, and there's been restructurings. To this day, the memorandum of operation between the province and OPG requires OPG to operate in line with the economic development goals of the province. And probably the biggest Captain Canada person in Canada in the last few months has been Premier Ford in terms of bringing these things home. But are we actually giving the support to the blue waves as we should? It's great to see Brookfield showing that confidence. But another aspect of the Adam Beck origin of power in Ontario is we have 60 local distribution companies. So OPG generates generates the power by any source, but the Ottawa Hydro, the local distribution company, gets it to your door. And they're not focused enough on supporting their local ecosystems, buying local, even though they have that public good. And in this modern age, do we need 60 of these? Back in the day, you used to elect your public utility chair alongside your mayor. Those days are really fleeting. So I think last week, Premier Lecce launched Energy for Generations, a new plan to meet the goal of 75% more electricity is needed in the next 20 years. So Ontario is going to experience what Summerside has. We won't be able to build nuclear as quickly as we may need the power from it, particularly with AI and with data. So we need systems like Blue Wave, but we also need all levels of government, from the municipalities to the province to the feds, to walk the talk on buying local and supporting local ecosystems. And the nice thing about being out of politics now is I still have a bit of clout, and I'm going to be hammering this. I'm wearing my Canadian socks. I'm doing my best Justin Trudeau today. But I mean it, because I'm sick. I saw a bunch of MPs on the flight this morning. It gave me sort of flashbacks to Monday morning flights. This is something they all hear too. Companies have more interest in the US or Japan or the EU than they do in their own backyard. So the Premier, as Captain Canada, is doing a great job. We need LDCs, we need OPG, we need the whole ecosystem to sort of say, how are we going to meet that 75% goal? I'll stop my rant now, but I'm not just the politician. As Dev knows, I was on a board of an LDC as a lawyer. The IESO was a client of mine as a lawyer at the firm I was at. So these are projects that we have to make sure that the ecosystem that Invest Ottawa and the angels here are cultivating have a chance to compete at home just as much as they do in Japan. So let's win in the Asia Pacific and let's win here at home.
Good.